Most people over 50 have been told to eat healthy, but few realize that the meat on their plate could be quietly working against their memory, their heart, even their independence. I've spent over 3 decades as a physician watching how small, everyday choices shape long-term health. And what I've found is both surprising and urgent. You see, not all meats are created equal. Some are healing, deeply nourishing, and protective. Others are inflammatory, toxic to blood vessels, and may accelerate brain aging. But the difference isn't always obvious. In fact, some of the worst offenders are marketed as convenient, lean, or even healthy, and that's exactly why they're so dangerous. After age 50, the body changes in subtle but powerful ways. Your metabolism slows, your immune system shifts, and your ability to recover from inflammation or oxidative damage isn't what it used to be. That means the foods you once tolerated without issue can now trigger chronic issues, fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, or even early cognitive decline. And at the center of all this is the type of protein you rely on. I remember one patient, a retired accountant in his late 60s. He told me, "Doc, I eat pretty clean. Eggs in the morning, a deli sandwich for lunch, maybe some steak or pork for dinner." On paper, it didn't sound terrible, but when we dug deeper, we found the truth. Processed meats loaded with preservatives, red meats cooked at high temperatures, and barely a single serving of anti-inflammatory foods in his week. His blood pressure was creeping up. Memory lapses were more frequent, and he felt old. A word I never like to hear from someone with years of vitality ahead. So I made a simple promise to him, and now I'm offering it to you. Change just 3 meats in your routine, remove the harmful ones, add in the powerful ones, and you could dramatically shift the way you age. We're talking clearer thinking, steadier energy, better mobility, and even reduced risk of heart disease and stroke. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 meats you should never touch again after 50, and, just as importantly, 3 that I recommend to nearly all of my patients. Each of them is backed by science. Each of them affects your body on a cellular level. And each of them can either hurt or help your chances of staying sharp, mobile, and independent well into your 70s and beyond. But I want to be clear. This isn't about fear. It's about knowledge. Because once you understand what's happening inside your body, and how food either helps or harms that process, you'll make better choices without hesitation. And those choices? They don't just affect your cholesterol or your waistline. They affect your ability to remember your grandkids' names, to walk unassisted, to stay in your own home, and to feel like yourself for years to come. So if you're over 50, or love someone who is, this may be the most important 5 minutes you spend today. Stick with me. The last meat on the never list will surprise you, and the first on the must-eat list might just change the way you think about aging forever. Bacon. Crispy, smoky, comforting. For many, it's the taste of a Sunday morning, the scent that fills the kitchen, the sound that brings back decades of memories. But for those of us over 50, bacon is not just food anymore. It's a health decision, one that might quietly be doing far more harm than good. I've lost count of how many times patients have told me, "But I only eat a few slices now and then." And I believe them. The trouble is, with bacon, it doesn't take much. A small amount, repeated over weeks and months, can gradually chip away at your health, especially when your body is less forgiving than it used to be. Let's start with the science. Bacon is a processed meat, cured with nitrates and nitrites, which are chemicals used to preserve color and flavor. When these compounds enter your body, especially when heated during cooking, they can form nitrosamines, classified by the World Health Organization as probable human carcinogens. In simple terms, substances that may increase your risk of cancer, particularly in the colon, stomach, and pancreas. But the concern doesn't stop there. Bacon is also high in saturated fat and sodium, a dangerous combination for aging arteries. After 50, many people begin to experience stiffening of the blood vessels, increased blood pressure, and a higher risk of silent inflammation. Add bacon to that equation, and you create the perfect storm for cardiovascular damage. What does that damage look like? It's not dramatic at first. It might be a little more fatigue during your walks, slight memory slips you didn't used to notice, swollen ankles, restless sleep. These are the whispers your body sends before the shout, and if we ignore them, they turn into diagnoses: high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, vascular dementia. One study published in the journal BMC Medicine followed over 500,000 people across Europe. They found that regular consumption of processed meats, including bacon, was associated with a significantly increased risk of premature death, primarily from cardiovascular disease and cancer. That's not alarmism. That's data. I had a patient named Susan, 64, who was doing her best to eat clean, as she put it. But breakfast was always the same: eggs, toast, and 2 slices of bacon. She thought it was low carb, high protein, and harmless. But her cholesterol remained stubbornly high, and her blood pressure kept inching up despite medication. When we swapped the bacon for avocado and a slice of salmon, she noticed something unexpected: clearer skin, better digestion, and more energy by mid-morning. Bacon, it turns out, was holding her back, and she didn't even realize it. Now, some people argue that it's about moderation. And yes, for a young, healthy adult with no risk factors, occasional bacon might not be a problem. But for someone over 50 with even one underlying issue, whether it's hypertension, insulin resistance, or early cognitive changes, bacon becomes a daily gamble. The real problem? It's not just what bacon contains, it's what it represents. Convenience over care. Habit over intention. A tiny indulgence that, over time, shapes outcomes we never intended. So what's the takeaway here? Bacon might smell like comfort, but it behaves like a toxin inside the aging body. If you're serious about protecting your brain, your heart, and your energy levels, it's time to let it go. There are better ways to start your morning, and better choices waiting to help you stay strong, sharp, and independent for years to come. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be aware. And awareness starts with this: that strip of bacon on your plate isn't just breakfast. It's a decision. Make it wisely. They're convenient. They're everywhere. And for many people over 50, processed meats have become a daily routine. A quick sandwich for lunch, a sausage link with breakfast, a slice of ham in a wrap. But what most people don't realize is that these harmless meats are quietly among the most dangerous foods we consume, especially as we age. Processed meats refer to any meat that has been preserved through smoking, curing, salting, or chemical additives. That includes deli meats, sausages, hot dogs, salami, pepperoni, ham, and even many pre-cooked frozen products. These items are engineered for long shelf life and mass production, not for human health. So what exactly makes them so harmful? Let's start with the salt. Most processed meats are loaded with sodium, not just for flavor, but as a preservative. High sodium intake is directly linked to increased blood pressure, fluid retention, and damage to the small vessels that feed your brain and heart. For someone in their 30s, the body may compensate, but after 50, those small vessels are already more vulnerable. Add in years of wear and tear, and it's not hard to see how even modest daily doses of processed meat can push someone over the edge toward stroke, kidney issues, or early memory decline. Then there are the preservatives. Many processed meats contain nitrites and nitrates, which, under the heat of cooking, can transform into nitrosamines, compounds shown to increase cancer risk. The World Health Organization has classified processed meats as a Group 1 carcinogen, placing them in the same risk category as tobacco and asbestos when it comes to colorectal cancer. It's sobering to consider, and even more so when we realize how common these meats are in our kitchens. I remember one of my patients, Frank, a 70-year-old widower who prided himself on keeping meals simple. His daily lunch was a turkey sandwich from the grocery deli, stacked high with thinly sliced meat and a slice of processed cheese. He didn't drink, didn't smoke, and thought he was doing everything right. But his blood pressure was borderline. He complained of increasing fatigue, and his memory, he admitted, wasn't what it used to be. We made just one change. He replaced his deli lunch with a freshly grilled chicken breast and leafy greens. Within a few weeks, his energy improved. His blood pressure dropped. He told me, "I didn't think the sandwich was hurting me, but now I know how different real food feels." His story isn't unusual. It's common, and it's correctable. Processed meats also tend to be low in the nutrients your aging body actually needs, things like potassium, magnesium, omega-3s, and antioxidants. Instead, they're full of fillers, flavor enhancers, and hidden sugars that can worsen insulin resistance, gut health, and inflammation. The most dangerous thing about processed meats isn't what they do in one meal. It's what they do over time. They build quietly. They burden your system. They become habit, and habits, as we know, are what shape health after 50 more than almost anything else. I often tell my patients, if it's cold, sliced, vacuum-sealed, or comes in a box, it's worth thinking twice. Not because all convenience foods are evil, but because this one choice, repeated week after week, is tied to real outcomes: higher rates of stroke, more rapid cognitive decline, and shorter life expectancy. You deserve better than that. You deserve food that honors your age, your brain, and your body's need to heal, not silently sabotage it. So next time you reach for that easy lunch meat, pause. Your brain, your heart, and your future self will thank you for choosing something fresher, cleaner, and far more powerful. There's something undeniably satisfying about a sizzling steak, grilled to medium rare, pink in the center, juices flowing. For many, it's a symbol of indulgence, strength, and reward. But if you're over 50, and especially if you value your heart, your digestion, and your longevity, it's time to take a closer look, not just at what kind of red meat you're eating, but how it's raised and how it's cooked. Red meat in itself isn't inherently evil. In fact, when consumed in moderation and sourced well, it can be a valuable source of iron, zinc, and vitamin B12. But the red meat most people are eating today is a far cry from the pasture-raised beef our grandparents knew. What fills supermarket coolers now is largely industrial meat, animals raised in confined operations, fed unnatural grain-based diets, often treated with antibiotics and growth hormones to increase profit and speed up processing. That matters more than people realize. Meat from these animals tends to be higher in saturated fat, lower in beneficial nutrients, and laced with residues of chemicals and hormones. And when it's cooked rare or undercooked, as is popular in restaurants and steakhouses, it increases your risk even further. You're not just consuming more potentially harmful bacteria, but also exposing yourself to compounds like heterocyclic amines, HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, which are created when meat is cooked at high temperatures or charred. These compounds have been linked in numerous studies to increased cancer risk, especially in the colon, pancreas, and prostate. But the real issue lies in the gut. After 50, your digestion changes. Stomach acid production declines, gut motility slows, and your ability to break down heavy proteins, especially fatty, undercooked red meat, becomes less efficient. That means undigested meat sits longer in the intestines, producing toxic byproducts like trimethylamine N-oxide, TMAO, a compound that has been strongly linked to cardiovascular disease. High levels of TMAO have been found in individuals with heart attacks, strokes, and even cognitive decline. I had a patient once, David, 66 years old, retired engineer. He loved his steak nights, twice a week, always rare, always with fries and a glass of red wine. He was proud of his man's meal, as he called it. But his LDL cholesterol was high. He had reflux, and more recently, trouble with short-term memory and sleep. When we reviewed his blood work and talked through the science, he made a switch: smaller portions, grass-fed sources, cooked thoroughly, and just once every 2 weeks. Within 3 months, his cholesterol improved, his reflux calmed, and he admitted, "I didn't realize how heavy that meal was making me feel until I stopped." This is not about fear. It's about being smarter with the body you're now living in, one that doesn't recover like it did at 30, and one that needs less burden, not more. If you still enjoy red meat, choose wisely. Look for grass-fed, pasture-raised sources. Trim excess fat. Cook thoroughly, but avoid charring. Pair it with fiber-rich vegetables to aid digestion. And most importantly, treat it as a rare treat, not a weekly staple. Your heart, your gut, and your brain are more connected than you think. And every meal you eat after 50 has the power to either support them or slowly erode them. When you look down at your plate, ask yourself, is this helping me stay independent, clear-minded, and strong in the years ahead? If the answer is no, there's always a better option waiting. Because at this stage in life, food is more than flavor. It's your most reliable medicine. There's a reason why some of the healthiest, sharpest, and most vibrant people over 60 swear by one food: wild-caught salmon. I often tell my patients that if there's one protein worth putting on your plate every single week, this is it. Not because it's trendy, or exotic, or expensive, but because it's one of the most powerful natural medicines for your brain, heart, and joints, especially after age 50. Let me explain why. Your brain is about 60% fat, and it relies heavily on omega-3 fatty acids to stay healthy. As we age, those levels decline naturally, and that's when memory starts to slip, attention becomes harder to hold, and even mood disorders like depression creep in. Wild-caught salmon is one of the richest dietary sources of omega-3s, especially EPA and DHA, the very building blocks your brain cells need to stay flexible, resilient, and sharp. Unlike farm-raised fish, which are often fed processed pellets and contain less beneficial fat, wild-caught salmon eat their natural diet, things like algae and small marine life. This makes a tremendous difference in nutrient quality. A single 4-ounce serving of wild salmon can deliver over 1,500 milligrams of omega-3s, enough to reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and improve the elasticity of your arteries. And for those concerned about memory loss, there's real science here. A 2016 study in the journal Neurology found that people with higher blood levels of omega-3s had larger brain volumes and better cognitive function as they aged. But it's not just about your mind. After 50, joint stiffness, muscle aches, and inflammation become more common, and salmon works quietly to ease that. Its anti-inflammatory properties help reduce the swelling that contributes to arthritis, heart disease, and even diabetes. It's a kind of quiet protection, building up inside your body like a buffer against the wear and tear of aging. I remember one patient, a 67-year-old retired teacher named Barbara, who came to me with mild memory problems and joint pain that was starting to interfere with her walks. She was active, alert, and determined to stay independent, but she said, "Doctor, I'm starting to feel slower, and I don't like it." We adjusted her diet, cutting down on processed foods, and adding wild-caught salmon twice a week. Within 3 months, she reported clearer focus, better sleep, and, in her own words, knees that feel 10 years younger. It wasn't magic. It was consistent, nourishing change. Some people worry about mercury in fish. That's a valid concern, especially with larger species like swordfish or tuna. But wild salmon, especially from Alaskan waters, is considered one of the safest choices. Low in mercury, high in nutrients. It's even recommended by the American Heart Association and numerous aging research centers. The key is to keep it simple: grilled, baked, or steamed. Avoid frying, and skip heavy sauces that cancel out the benefits. If you're someone who doesn't like fish or hasn't cooked it much, I encourage you to start small. Try wild salmon in a salad, in a wrap, or with a few herbs and lemon. Your taste buds will adjust, and your body will thank you. Because after 50, every bite matters more. And wild-caught salmon isn't just a meal. It's a tool to protect your independence, clarity, and strength. Not all proteins are equal. This one is worth the habit. For decades, chicken has been one of the most popular proteins in America. It's lean, versatile, and easy to prepare. But after the age of 50, when your metabolism slows and your body becomes more sensitive to what you eat, the type of chicken you choose begins to matter much more. That's why I recommend free-range chicken to almost every patient looking to stay strong, mobile, and mentally sharp. Let's talk about why. As we age, we naturally lose muscle mass, a condition known as sarcopenia. It begins slowly in our 40s, then accelerates in our 60s and beyond. And unless we're actively working to preserve muscle through exercise and high-quality protein, this decline can lead to frailty, balance issues, and reduced independence. Free-range chicken provides exactly the kind of lean, digestible protein the body can use efficiently to repair tissue, maintain muscle, and regulate blood sugar, without the extra burden of saturated fat or additives found in processed meats. But not all chicken is created equal. Factory-farmed chickens are typically raised in overcrowded, unsanitary environments, fed a grain-heavy diet, and often given antibiotics to prevent illness in those conditions. The result is meat that may be cheaper, but it's lower in essential nutrients, potentially carries antibiotic residues, and is higher in unhealthy fats due to the bird's restricted movement. In contrast, free-range chickens have room to move, scratch, peck, and live in more natural environments. This lifestyle produces meat with a healthier fat profile, including more omega-3 fatty acids, higher vitamin E levels, and better mineral content. These nutrients help reduce inflammation, protect cells from oxidative stress, and support brain and heart health, all key priorities after age 50. I once worked with a couple in their early 70s, both active, both motivated to stay healthy. They'd been eating chicken regularly, but often from frozen bags or takeout rotisserie options. When they made the switch to cooking their own meals using free-range chicken, seasoned simply and baked or grilled with vegetables, they noticed an almost immediate difference. "We feel less bloated, less tired," they told me. "And our grocery list is suddenly a lot shorter." That's the beauty of clean, nourishing food. It does more with less. Free-range chicken is also easier on digestion. As stomach acid production declines with age, heavy or greasy meals can cause discomfort, acid reflux, or interfere with medication absorption. A modest portion of clean, cooked chicken provides what your body needs without stressing your digestive system. Yes, it's true that free-range chicken can cost more. But I always encourage my patients to think of food as a long-term investment. For the price of one fast food combo meal, you can prepare a meal at home that actually protects your heart, preserves your muscles, and supports your immune system. How you prepare chicken matters too. Avoid frying, breading, or drowning it in heavy sauces. Bake it with olive oil and garlic. Grill it with rosemary and lemon. Add it to vegetable soups or hearty grain bowls. This kind of eating isn't just about avoiding illness, it's about building resilience from the inside out. After 50, your body's needs become more specific. Protein should be clean, meals should be intentional, and every bite should help you feel stronger, clearer, and more in control of your aging process. Free-range chicken isn't a trend. It's a smart, sustainable choice for anyone who wants to move with ease think with clarity, and stay vibrant in the decades ahead. If I could prescribe just one food for people over 50 to support their memory, energy, and resilience, I wouldn't choose a pill, powder, or superfood. I'd choose beef liver, but not just any liver. I'm talking about clean, grass-fed beef liver, one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can eat, and one that's quietly making a comeback in the world of aging science. Now, I understand that liver isn't everyone's favorite. Its taste is strong, the texture unfamiliar, and for some, it brings back memories of childhood dinners they'd rather forget. But if you're open to revisiting it with a new understanding, you may find that liver isn't just a traditional food. It's a nutritional powerhouse tailor-made for the needs of the aging body. Let's start with the facts. Grass-fed beef liver is incredibly rich in vitamin B12, a nutrient essential for nerve health, red blood cell formation, and brain function. As we age, B12 absorption declines due to reduced stomach acid and common medications like proton pump inhibitors or metformin. This can lead to fatigue, numbness, poor concentration, and even depression. Just a few ounces of liver per week can replenish those stores naturally, without relying solely on supplements. But that's just the beginning. Liver is also loaded with heme iron, the form of iron most easily absorbed by the body. Iron is critical for energy, oxygen transport, and immune support, and mild iron deficiency is surprisingly common in adults over 60, especially in women. Add in high amounts of vitamin A for vision and immune balance, folate for cardiovascular health, and choline for memory and brain structure, and you begin to see why liver has long been called nature's multivitamin. And when it comes from grass-fed cows, the quality only improves. These animals graze naturally, avoiding the antibiotics and grain-heavy diets used in industrial farming. The result is a cleaner, more nutrient-rich product that delivers powerful benefits without added toxins. I remember a patient, Linda, age 69, who came to me feeling constantly tired, foggy, and frustrated. Blood work showed borderline B12 and iron. Nothing alarming, but enough to impact her daily life. Rather than starting her immediately on pills, I suggested she try small servings of sautéed grass-fed liver once a week. She hesitated at first, but gave it a try with onions and herbs. Within a month, she noticed a difference. More energy in the mornings, clearer thoughts, even fewer bruises on her arms. "I didn't expect much," she told me, "but I feel like I got something back." Of course, moderation is key. Liver is powerful, which means too much, too often, can be excessive, especially due to its high vitamin A content. 3 to 4 ounce serving once or twice a week is more than enough to provide the benefits without overloading your system. And for those who simply can't tolerate the flavor, there are options. Liver capsules made from freeze-dried grass-fed liver are available and can offer many of the same nutrients, though I always prefer whole food when possible. In a world filled with processed snacks, sugary drinks, and empty calories, grass-fed beef liver stands out as a quiet, ancient ally, dense with what your brain, blood, and bones need most after 50. It's not flashy, it doesn't come in bright packaging, but it works, and sometimes that's all your body really needs. Something real, time-tested, and made for healing. If you want more clarity, strength, and stamina in the years ahead, consider giving liver a second chance. Because aging well isn't just about avoiding the wrong foods. It's about embracing the right ones, even if they surprise you. The choices we make after 50 don't have to be complicated, but they do need to be conscious. When it comes to the meat on your plate, what you choose today quietly shapes your tomorrow, your brain's clarity, your heart's strength, your mobility, and your independence. Over the past few minutes, we've explored 6 types of meat, 3 to walk away from, and 3 to embrace. This isn't just about food. It's about protecting what matters most: your memory, your energy, your ability to live the life you want without unnecessary limits. Let's recap what you've just learned. First, we uncovered 3 meats to avoid. Not because of fear, but because of fact. Bacon, no matter how nostalgic, is a cocktail of preservatives and inflammation. Processed meats, even in small daily doses, have been tied to cancer, stroke, and vascular damage. And rare or industrial red meat can silently disrupt your digestion, blood flow, and even brain health. Each of these choices, when repeated, becomes a slow erosion of the very functions you rely on to stay independent. But the power isn't just in what you remove, it's in what you add. Wild-caught salmon offers essential omega-3s that keep your mind sharp and your arteries flexible. Free-range chicken provides clean, lean protein to preserve muscle and energy without overburdening your body. And grass-fed beef liver, often overlooked, delivers an unmatched dose of vitamins and minerals that support everything from memory to immunity. These aren't trendy diet hacks. They're grounded, practical, time-tested tools that you can begin using right away. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to follow a rigid plan or spend hours meal prepping. What you need is awareness, intention, and the willingness to ask, each time you sit down to eat, is this helping me move forward or quietly holding me back? One of the most powerful things I've learned in over 35 years as a physician is that the body remembers. It remembers how you sleep, how you move, how you eat. It builds its resilience, or its weakness, one day at a time. And the good news is, it's never too late to change that story. So I invite you to take one simple step today. Look in your fridge. Look in your habits. Swap out one meat that no longer serves you for one that protects you. Try wild salmon this week. Pick up free-range chicken. Give grass-fed liver a chance. Or start with a capsule if the taste isn't for you. Health after 50 isn't about perfection. It's about direction. And with the right information and small, consistent changes, you can age with strength, clarity, and grace. If this message resonated with you, if it gave you something to think about, or if you know someone who could benefit from it, share it. Because information doesn't change lives until it reaches the right people. And remember this: you're not too old, too late, or too stuck to take back control of your health. You just need the right map and the courage to take the next step. I'm Dr. Henry. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. Let's keep moving forward, together.